Good morning. It is December. You probably tell how I'm wrapped up nice and warm and the Sherpa clothing's out now. I'm at a new fishery today. I've never ever fished a match here. This is Kiveton Waters. It's a venue that I've been dying to get to for the last few weeks. It's a Tuesday. It's the middle of December. We think we've got about 20 anglers fishing here today. However, it is rod only, but it's bomb and feeder. Okay, so there isn't any pole fishing or anything like that. It's a mixed fishery. There are lots of carp in here, but they have recently stocked it with lots and lots of skimmers. So that's going to be interesting because I think that is going to be part of my game plan for today. So we're drawing at 8:30 and we are fishing 9:30 while 3:15.
Dan. It's just on that bend, isn't it, onto point?
Oh no!
Go on, jump in there. Let's have a look. That's the one. That's the one.
What is it?
Rosa's 18.
I'll eat that.
Is that all right?
Yep.
Okay, we'll take that. We'll take that.
I want a yellow one.
Rosa's 18. Ooh, Mr. Harrison.
Right.
Can be good, can be.
Rosa's 18. Right round there.
Oh, I fished that last week.
Go on there, right
Right
round
round the back.
So I can follow around there.
Yeah,
Have we got to go in order?
yeah, but you can pull up into. You'll work it out.
All
There's
right,
plenty of
18
space.
right round there. Thank you very much. You can drive to all the pegs on here, which is absolutely fantastic. You know, you can get your van behind the peg. My bait's already done, really. I've got some. It's fishery pellet roll here. These are literally like a 2mm pellet. They're all soaked up. Really nice, those actually. I really like them. Not quite sure how much method feeder fishing I'm going to be doing today, but I'm definitely going to be doing some, and I will be putting some of those in on that skimmer line. But I'm going to go and take a closer look at the peg, and then I'll decide how I'm going to approach it. Well, it looks like I'm on this end peg going into this corner. There we go, just measured it right. We actually park in order on here on this bank, so those lads have gone down there. So that's peg 19 there, going that way. That goes down to an end peg down there. This is 18, this is me. So I've got this big corner here. Nobody's said that it's an absolute fantastic peg or anything like that, but not knowing the venue, I think that looks absolutely ideal, to be fair. There's a rope down the middle. There's two floating islands there, so that's a rope down the middle, obviously showing you halfway, so I can't go over that. I'm assuming I've got all this. I don't know if there's another angler there. I'm not sure. There's another van coming down here now, so perhaps there is another angler there. I don't know. So that's it. So I'm going to get set up. I've only got, well, less than an hour now. So I'm just going to get my gear set up, and I'll talk you through how I'm going to approach it once I've decided what I'm going to do. So while I'm just actually setting up, I'm just thinking about how I'm going to tackle this, because I've got there's a floating platform there, there's another one there, and then I've got this margin here, so there's loads of options. No wind on it or anything like that, so I'm not even thinking about the wind direction or where the wind's hitting or anything like that. So I think basically what I'm going to do is, with this setup, I've just got an XRC. It's a lovely 9-foot feeder rod, nice little 3000 reel, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start where that platform is. I'm going to start there with a little open method feeder, not clipped up. I'm quite confident. I've just had a couple of casts with this bomb on, and I can hit, you know, virtually the same range every time at that range and everything like that. So what, hey, have you pulled into a fish? I don't expect hook one while he's plumbing up. Not quite sure how that's happened. So I'm going to start where that platform is there with the method feeder, but what I've also done is I've actually got a clip on here. Now this clip is actually bang in line to where that platform is down there, because I want a line down the margin that I can feed with micros, and that's right there. If I just cast this down to that platform, there we go, see that? Now that's clipped up there. That's not going to interfere with fishing there, because that cast is much longer than that one, so I can fish there without with the drag undone, no problem. But that is a range that I need to find out, so I'm just going to go to the sticks, find out what that range is, and that's a spot that I can keep casting to keep putting a bit of bait in, and obviously later on that might be an area to tackle. But I'm going to leave everywhere else free from food, from feeding, except for my skimmer line. So I've got all this margin here, all that rope out there, where I can dot about with a bomb if I need to, with bomb and corn. That's the plan. So I'm just going to find out what this range is, and then I'm going to sort my skimmer line out. Bang on, or just under 28 metres. I've got a nice light setup. This is a light feeder XRS. It's got a nice, well, it's a 3/4 ounce tip in that. Mono, you've got to fish with mono on this fishery anyway, no braid or anything. And that is it, that's my skimmer line. I've just clipped this up. It's 12 metres on the sticks, so it's, well, it's actually, if you want to be critical, 12 metres plus the actual length of the rod. And that is where I'm going to put my skimmer line. Seems clean there. And then that is it. So the 2 spots I'm going to feed are there, 12 metres plus the rod, whatever range that is, 14 metres. And then the spot down there for later on, where I'm going to kick off towards there, the platform there. Leave the skimmer line for at least an hour or so. I can see lots of the lake here, as you can see. I've got anglers on the other bank, so I should get an idea of how good or bad it's fishing, and that'll tell me if I need to go on that skimmer line. And then I've got all this margin and all that room out there to explore with bomb and corn. Just had to take my jacket off then. I've been setting up, I was absolutely wet through. Too warm. So it does feel much milder than it has been. It's saying it's 8 degrees. There still isn't any wind on it, but it's just about, we can put us nets in now. So that's it, that's the plan. I'm going to feed that skimmer line at the start. Hopefully I'm not even going to be, well, to be nice not to go on that at all, but I'm going to feed it and hopefully not go on it for the first hour. Start on the method feeder towards that floating island in front of me, and then I'm not going to feed that margin line or that long margin just yet. I'm going to give that an hour or two. So obviously we're fishing till 3:15, so I don't really want to feed that too early. And if I'm not catching, then I'll just use that bomb rod and start exploring, just going around looking for fish. See loads of anglers, which is good. I'm just going to feed this one first. It's an 11-foot rod, this one, so I might get away with just underarming nicely there, like that. I'm going to put 4 feederfuls in like that, but only a couple of them are going to have food in. So that one was just ground bait. I'll put another one in with just ground bait, just lightly squeezing it because I'm only emptying it. Really emptying it quickly, it's not very deep. Put 2 in like that, and then I'm going to put the next 2 in with some maggots in, and a few micros as well. Like I say, I can see there's loads of anglers around me, which is great. It's going to give me a great idea of what's getting caught. So I've just got a few micros in there, and then some maggots as well, as you can see. I'm not going to go too mad, so if I'm on this line it basically means it's fishing hard, if that makes sense. So I don't think the silverfish sport will be amazing. I'm not expecting it to be anyway. Like I say, hopefully I'm not even on this line, hopefully. I'm going to be catching on the on either the bomb or the method feeder. I can top this line up at any stage, so you know I can keep this swim alive. Looks like everyone around me looks like they've started on a method. That one's full of bait, this one. And that's it. So I'm starting a little mini wafter. These are the micro bandums that have just been put into a matrix. Well, there's a mixture of lots of different ones in there, to be fair, but I am going to start on a micro bandum wafter, probably a yellow one, just because that's where my confidence is. Put that one down there. Like I said, I'm not going to feed that long margin swim just yet. Get those uplands out of there. It's very much a rush job this morning. There we go. Kick off with a size 14. Yeah, 14 to 0.15 hook length. Breaks at about £5. There are some really big fish in here. There's been some, you know, 15-20 pound fish caught recently, but I think they are quite rare. So I don't really want to fish too heavy, because the average stamp is smaller than that. So to make sure that drag's undone on this line, start on a yellow one, just because that's where my confidence is. Always like to start on a yellow one, unless I know anything different. And then I can just settle in then and have a good look round, see if I'm getting any liners, any indications. And by doing this, I'm leaving the whole of that right hand bay and everything, leaving it alone. so it's going to be nice and quiet. The angler opposite has actually started casting down into that right hand corner down there to where the rope, towards where the rope hits the bank. So he started there, so obviously I can see him, and if he's going to catch there, I know that's where my good mate Martin Edis won a match from a couple of weeks ago. Right then, and that was with about 80-90 pounds, so you get an idea of what sort of weights are possible. I'll start there to start with, not clipped up, drag's undone. I'll set my stopwatch. No idea what sort of fishing times we might be fishing, how long it's going to be to leave it in, I don't know, but give it 5 minutes, just see if we get any signs, see if anything gets caught. Just had an indication there, straight away. There we go, look. So that's gone straight to where there's fish. So there's no wind at the minute, as you can see, so I'm not too concerned about that line not sinking. That was a definite indication straight away, so I'm not going to tighten up to that too quickly. Don't want to risk, if I pull my line too tight or tighten up too quickly, it might get hung up on a fish. Obviously I don't want to go spooking any fish or pulling the feeder into one, so I'd rather let that line just sink on its own down to the bottom out of the way, so that if a fish does touch the line, it's not going to dislodge the feeder, because it's the method feeder. You know, even though it's a free running one, if a fish is on it, you're going to know it's on, even if you've got a bit of slight line. So I'm just going to give this, I'll give it 5 minutes. If nothing happens, I'll have another cast. My plan is really just to have probably 5 casts there in that spot, just to see what happens. And if I haven't caught, I'm going to go over it, but with a bomb, because what I don't want to do is just keep banging loads and loads of micro pellets out. Fair enough, I haven't got a big feeder on, but if I have 5 casts, there's going to be quite a lot of pellets out there. And I'm not saying that's feeding too much, but just think that when you've got a spread of pellets like that, which you're naturally going to get, the chance of a fish coming in and falling for the trap of a method feeder is reduced, in my opinion. So just another little, oh, there we go, oh, there we go, another indications. So there are some fish out there. So I'm going to give this 5 casts, doing what I'm doing on that same spot or that same area, and just see what's happening around me. Still getting the odd little indication, all the 1 or 2 liners. So I've decided to give this 10 minutes now. So it's been out there 7 minutes. The angler that I mentioned opposite was casting down to that corner. He's actually playing a fish now. So it's the first fish that I've seen hooked. He's hooked that down there where that rope is, where the rope hits that bank. Looks like a good fish as well, good stamp fish, definitely a carp. So it's the first fish I've seen caught. Yeah, he's got it. So I'm going to give this 10 minutes and then have another cast to that same spot. I just don't want to go down that margin too early. Well, I've had 5 casts on a feeder. I'm just getting 1 or 2 tiny little indications. Wasn't really happy with it, to be fair. So I've just, as I said, I've just put a bomb over the top. And this has only been there 30 seconds. This feels like a really heavy fish if it's hooked right. Still only seen that 1 fish caught opposite. Been fishing just over 30 minutes. This is a really heavy fish, this one. Really slow but really heavy, this fish. There's a big fish, that one, just saw it then. It's a mirror. The water's not as clear as I thought it was. There's a little bit of colour in it. Wasn't sure if this approach would be right. You're not allowed to fish with bread here, so that's not an option, and you're not allowed to fish with meat either. Oh, that's a big double, that one. Big kipper. Really heavy fish, that one. That is an absolute unit. Wow, how about that? Quick change to the bottom. It's a very big fish. Wow, I think I'll have another cast on the bottom. I think I'll click 15 for that. I think it could easily be heavier than that. Just on a single grain of corn, right over where I've been fishing the method. This is just F1 corn that I'm using. I don't always open a full tin, I'll be honest, or bring a full tin. Today I honestly felt I was only going to be using it on a bomb, you know, I wouldn't be feeding it. Let's get back out there to that same spot. Set that stopwatch anyway, just so that I can monitor how long I'm spending in each spot. Well, it might be a day of waiting for big fish, but whatever happens, I'm going to keep that skimmer line fed, keep it topped up just in case I have got to go on it. Well, we've just gone over the 1 hour stage. Getting the odd liner, to be fair, the odd indication, and I think they are carp. I don't think they're small fish at all, but I've been coming back towards the middle, just trying to pick a fish up, and the closer back I come, the less indications I'm getting. But where I'm getting indications, I'm not catching any fish. So there are 1 or 2 fish milling about out there. I've tried 1 or 2 different hair rigs. I've tried multiples of corn on there as well. I've still just got that one fish. Lad opposite me, he's got one. Lad bang opposite me, I think he's just had a smaller fish. I don't know if it was a skimmer. And I've heard that there's 2 other single fish caught, and that's it really. Just getting odd tiny little indications there. So I'm still in that same area where I started with the feeder, just because I'm getting indications there, you know, that there's 1 or 2 fish there, but they're not turning into fish in the net. So all I'm going to do now is just when I bring this one in, I'm just going to give this another minute or so, 2 minutes. I'm going to top up that skimmer line just with 1 cage full of maggots, a few micros and ground bait, so that line is just kept alive. And then I'm just going to start working my way to the right with the bomb. I'm just going to go possibly where that yellow buoy is that's on the rope. I'm going to go to there, and then I can work my way towards that other raft just to see if I can pick off any more carp before I consider having a look on that skimmer line. But I've seen a couple of anglers fishing with maggot feeders, which I have heard can work on here to catch anything, including carp, but they're not catching on that either at the minute. So I've got 1 fish, but it's a good fish, so it's bought me a little bit of time to try and catch another one. So just gonna top that skimmer line up. I haven't even put a hook length on that rod yet. I've no need to. Like I say, hopefully I'm not even going to be picking it up. Hopefully I'm just going to keep picking off carp and I can stay on this, but I've got to keep this alive because if it stays as hard as this, even if I just use it to rest the line that I've been casting to now, and just put a few skimmers in the net if there are some there, which could boost my weight, and then I'll be looking for carp later on down to my right. But I want to keep this line alive just in case. Just going to put that one in. That's it. So on this cast now, I'm just going to have a cast just to the right. Make sure that corner, that's alright. See if I can pick up another carp. Bit of a breeze there now. Just swirling round a little bit. Just had a 10-minute cast there. See if I get any indications. Well, I've just had that one cast to that different spot. It's been out there just under 3 minutes. To be honest, it was such a slow pull round that I thought it was a liner. So I'm not 100% sure that this is hooked right. It feels as though it's hooked right now. Feels like it's another good fish as well. That was first cast to that new spot. It's running now. Don't really want to rush any fish today because we don't know how hard it's going to be. It's hard at the minute, but to be fair, because we started fishing at 9:30, it's still actually early in the day. It's only just gone 10:30. There we go. That's another good fish. Wow, how about that? And again, that was in under 3 minutes, that one. So it looks like if I'm going to drop it in front of one, they're going to be taking it pretty quickly. It is exactly 11:20, so we're just coming up to the 2-hour mark. We've got a bit of a breeze on it now, but it's hitting it over on that other side over there. It's a really cold wind, so I don't know if it's going to affect the fishing, but it's definitely a little bit more comfortable where I am. I've just worked my way, you can probably tell by the way angle I've just reeled that back. I've worked my way through, going down to the right, down and into that corner, and I haven't had any more fish. I'll get the odd little indication. So all I'm going to do, I'm just going to have one last cast with this back to where I caught that first fish, just to see if there's any signs of carp there. And I'm just going to set that, and if I don't get any signs of encouragement of any carp, you know, any liners or anything, or obviously catch a fish, I'm going to have a look on that skimmer line. I've been topping it up every 30 minutes, just only with one feeder full of maggots and a few micros, and I'm not really seeing anybody catch any. I've heard that I mean, lad on my left's got one small fish, but I think that was a roach. Looked like it was on a maggot feeder. Lad opposite who caught a smaller fish, well, it didn't look like a carp. I've found out I think it's a tench, and the lad next to him's caught a bream, and that is it. I can't see anybody putting any sort of numbers of silverfish together, but there isn't anybody catching any carp. So I've got 2 fish now. I've got 21 pound on the clicker. It's difficult to judge the size of that first fish, so I've got 20 pound, I'm sure. And there's one other lad who's caught 2 fish, and that is it. There's just the odd single fish, but I don't think the lad who's caught the 2 fish, they are really big fish. I've just heard that they're stocky carp, so you know, doing all right at the minute, but it's quite a while now since I caught a fish, so I don't just want to spend 3 hours now in the middle of the match just trying to catch a carp, because there may be some skimmers or bream on that cage line where I might be able to just put some weight in the net whilst I'm resting these other areas that I've just been exploring. So I mean, that's been in there just coming up to 2 minutes. I mean, there aren't any liners, there's no indications there really, so I'm going to give it 6 or 7 minutes, I think. But, you know, not quite 10 minutes because I think that's too long, but 6 or 7 minutes just to see if there's any indications. And if there isn't, I've got a hook length ready here, and I've got a size 16 hook to it's 0.13 hook length, and I've shortened it up. It's only a short hook length, and I'm just going to go on now. I'll probably put double maggot on, double dead red or something like that, with a little feeder on it, just see if there are any skimmers there to be caught, and then just take it from there really. Obviously if I'm catching fish on that and putting fish in the net, I'll continue to do that and just keep my eyes open about, you know, are there any carp being caught anywhere. I've got a feeling that there aren't going to be loads of skimmers to be caught on that line today. I don't know why. See, that was an indication there. It's been out there 2.5 minutes. Look, and I had those early on, but I just couldn't turn them into fish. But like I say, I don't just want to go chasing shadows, as they say, just sit here watching line bites all day if I'm not putting anything in the net. I've at least got to have a look for that on that skimmer line, because when I go on it, it's going to be around about 11:30, which is the 2-hour mark. So I've been feeding it for 2 hours, so that's the plan. And for those people who are interested and usually ask, today is minestrone soup. But you're not allowed to fish with bread at this venue, unlike places like Lindholm where I could literally steal some of that bread and do a bit of dunking, but there's none of that today. So all I've got is a nice little cage feeder, free running rig. I've got a rubber stopper there, and that's short hook. Well, I'm saying it's a short hook length. It's probably about 25 centimetres, something like that. So this is an 11-foot rod, so it's a little bit longer than the other one. So I'm just going to kick off. We'll just try double maggot, a couple of dead reds like that. And it looks like it's fishing hard, so I'm just going to fish with just ground bait in the feeder to start with. And just see if there's anything there. I'll cast overhead, I think. Now that I'm fishing it. There we go. Get that tip down. I've got to have a look on it. I've fed it for 2 hours now. And especially with it fishing so hard, just might put a little bit of extra weight in the net. I'll be honest with you, I don't really want to fish with this today. I'd rather just do what I was doing, fish for them better fish. And I've got confidence to do it, but there isn't anybody catching any carp now. Well, I think the most caught is 2, but most people, well, people who've caught have just got 1. So it obviously doesn't look like it's fishing very well at the moment, so I've got to have a look on it, haven't I? So that's it, I'm just going to leave that, set my stopwatch, give it 5 minutes. If there are any milling about, should get some sort of an indication. There are roach in here, tench, there's all sorts. And obviously with maggot on, that will, it can catch anything, can't it? And because I've got a 0.13 hook length, which breaks at about £4, it gives me a chance of hooking any carp that I might hook on it as well. Especially in winter when they don't fight as hard. So I'm just going to make sure that I can get that clip off nice and quickly and easily if I do hook a carp. See, straight away there, I would have, if there was any there milling about, I honestly would have thought I would have had some sort of an indication. But I'm not going to spend too long on it. I'm just going to have 5 minutes on it, just see what happens. I can easily just top it up and put it back down and go back to doing what I was doing and just keep it alive throughout the day. One thing I'm conscious of is the time. It's 11:38 there, as you can see. We are fishing until 3:15, and I'm going to be considering feeding down this long margin once it gets to 12 o'clock-ish, just after. I know it seems a little bit early, but I just feel as though I just want to put something there, even if it's just a couple of feederfuls of pellets, or 2 loaded method feeders, just to set it up, just so that there's something there. But I'm sure it is going to pick up. I'm almost certain that there are more carp to be caught. Well, the first cast on this, I didn't get any indication, so I just had a second cast on it, and as you can see, got a very healthy sized skimmer, which is encouraging. That's a good stamp, isn't it? It's a fantastic stamp. Now, so there's some of them settle there. Brilliant. That goes in the silvers net. That's on double maggot. That's really encouraging. So again, I'm just going to repeat that. Don't really know what to expect with regards numbers wise on this. Just a pinch of maggots there, as you can see. Only a few. Don't know what kind of numbers or what the potential is for catching on this line. I really don't know. But Mark who runs Embryo and runs this fishery, and he's actually fishing today. He's running the match. He said it'd be worth putting a skimmer line in. They have stocked a lot over the last few weeks, but there were already skimmers in here from bream, so if we can just put some extra weight in the net on this, that's going to be great. But like I say, once it gets, it's 11:48 now, like I say, once it gets past 12 o'clock, I'm then going to start thinking about putting a bit of bait in down this long right hand margin where I've clipped up at 28 metres in front, or towards, well, it's in front of that platform, to just kind of set it up. See, that's a little indication there. I think there are one or two milling about. I think they could be the bites, to be fair. That was a quicker knock, quicker indication. It's only a 3/4 ounce tip, that, which is, as you can see, there's no wind hitting it on here. where I am, but there isn't any tow at the minute, so it's just nice. I'm fishing with mono. You can't use braid here, so I should still see all those indications, especially at such short range. I had to wait a little bit longer that time. I think there's a rule here that you've got to net, I'm not sure what it is, all fish over 6 ounce I think it is, but that's another one in the net, another few ounces. Just changing this hook length, to be fair. I had that bite just as I was getting another hook length ready. Actually, at the last minute I changed my mind on my hook choice. I actually started on a 14 because I wanted to fish with double and triple maggot, just trying to be selective before the start. I started on a 14, but now that I've seen how it's fishing, I'm just going to go and scale it down again, down to a 16, shortening that hook length, because I think single maggot might be the way to go. I don't know, the fish might be too small. Like I say, I don't know, I'm learning the venue. Don't know if we'll get plagued with little tiny fish, and I don't know if I'm wasting my time on this line at the moment. There isn't anybody catching, so I'm just trying to see what the potential is of this while I think about setting up that long margin and resting the other lines. But I've at least got to try. So there we go. So that looks much more matched. Single maggot on a 16 now. Short hook length. Let's just see if this real scaled down, or a more scaled down winter approach is going to be better. The ground bait I'm using, didn't mention it earlier because I was rushing, is F1 green, the good old Sonor baits. F1 green, lovely and sweet, dark green colour, and it's really fine. It's not too strong either. It's just a great all-round mix. I'm getting odd tiny little indications. Some casts I don't get anything on this. Any other day I really might feel that it's worth persevering, but I'm going to give it another 10 or 15 minutes. Other than that one big carp I've seen caught a few minutes ago on the other bank, there's just nothing being caught. So, and it's 12:39 now, so there's still plenty of time left. Put a little bit of bait in down to my right, down when I'm clipped up in front of that platform down there, 28 metres. So that's set up. So there's plenty of time for fish to switch on, but just going to persevere with this for another 10 or 15 minutes I think, and just see if I can work out how to catch a few fish on it and find out what stamp they are, how many's there, and by then I'll know whether it's worth sticking on it or whether I'm just going to refeed it, give it another rest, and then go chasing carp. Getting tiny little indications on this, but there are some small fish there. Little, you know, they're not really, they're just definitely not worth the actual investment in the time that it's taking to catch them. So I'm going to come off this. I'm going to feed it. I'm going to keep it alive. You never know, I might need it at some stage to go back on it. I'm just going to put some more dead maggots on it, just feed it, and then go looking for another carp. I've just seen a stocky carp caught on the other bank. Other than that, I haven't heard reports of anybody really catching, so I feel like if I could get another carp now, that would be great. I'm not sure where that's going to come from, to be honest, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the way I started now. Just go back to it on a method, just see if I can pick a fish off towards that raft, and then see what happens with that. Pour myself a cup of soup out, and then depending on what happens from that, I can then just kind of put the bomb back on and go searching again. I have fed down this right hand margin long, so I have got an area that's actually fed, and I'm also flicking a few grains of corn in front of the platform to my right by hand, only a few, 4 or 5 at a time. I can drop either my feeder or the bomb and corn over that line later on. So I've got 2 lines down my right hand margin now that are actually fed. So those are obviously areas that I'll be targeting a little bit later on But in the meantime, it'd be nice to find a couple of more carp out in this open water. Well, it's 1 o'clock now, 1 minute to 1, so it'd be great to get another carp at this stage. I just thought I'll go back out to where I started, where I've kept having the odd cast, just to put a few pellets down. This has been out there again less than 3 minutes, and I've hooked another good fish out the blue. I thought it was a bream actually. With the bite, it was just a couple of knocks, nothing happened, and then it just knocked once and then just dropped back. It's obviously not a bream. This feels like it's another heavy fish. The average stamp seems really big today. Don't know what it normally is. We're into that last 90 minutes now. I'm hoping that margin is going to come good, but obviously I'll just take my fish wherever I can catch them. That's another good fish. Very good stamp today. Oh, I don't know what that is. There's got to be another 7, I would say, 8 maybe. They're not long fish, but they're really thick. Hoping they're going to weigh well. Oh, came in quite quick as well, which was good. I'll get this back out there, haven't it? Again, that was on just on one of those micro wafters. We're into the final 30 minutes, and there isn't any sign of life at all. I've just spent that last period dropping the method feeder on that skimmer line, that 12 metre line. I'm currently down there now, down about 2 or 3 metres off the front of that margin. Not getting any indications whatsoever, you know, there aren't any liners or anything like that. There's 30 minutes left, that's all, and you know, I'm not quite sure where else a fish is going to come from other than either that margin there, even though I haven't had any indications, or that 12 metre line. I think if I spend this last 30 minutes just dotting around with a bomb, I might pick up a fish. But it sounds like the lad on peg 2 has continued catching, so I need more than, from what I know, I need more than one fish. So I honestly only think that if I am going to have a little bit of a run of 2 or 3 fish or whatever it might be, it's going to be over some bait, if that makes sense. And that is those 2 areas, either that margin where I am now or the 12 metre line. So that's the decision I've made. I'm not going to pick the bomb back up and start dotting about looking for a fish. I'm going to stick to these 2 spots and just hope that, I mean, you can see that the light's going. It's 2:45. You know, it's the right time of day for any fish to feed over bait. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just literally just switching between these 2 spots. 2 5-minute cast, or a 5-minute cast, and then leave it 10 minutes. There's only 30 minutes left anyway, so my number of casts are limited. So I'm just going to have one drop there and then flick to there, and just hope that the rest is just going to encourage 1 or 2 fish to, you know, just settle over a bit of bait, and then hopefully I'm going to time it right and get on it when they're there. But there just aren't any fish being caught whatsoever, you know, it's just absolutely dead. Well, we're into the last few seconds, and I've got to admit that last period has been very disappointing. I've got to admit. Sounds like Mark down to my left, I don't know how many pegs down he is, 3, 4 pegs. It sounds like he's caught a few stockies, as they've called them, and a few skimmers. Sounds like peg 2's caught and done well. And other than that, I haven't really heard about anybody else really caught any more than a couple of fish. Really disappointing end, I've got to admit that. You know, set this right hand margin up down to my right, it looks ideal. And I haven't had a single fish down there. So the 3 carp that I've had have all come from 3 completely different places. I've had 2 on the bomb and 1 on the method feeder, and then so I've got 3 carp and 4 skimmers. So I don't know what they're going to go. Those big fish are very difficult to estimate the weight of, but I probably got around 30 pound, I think, give or take. That's what I think. But it's been a really interesting match. I definitely wish I'd done a few things different. I wish I'd loose fed somewhere. I wish I'd had a line where I was either loose feeding with a catapult, either pellets or corn. That's what I really think. I haven't seen anyone here doing that today. I don't know if it's a method that works. I just feel as though I may have had something extra to try if I'd done that, and on this peg I've actually got the room to do that as well, so that's one thing that I wish I'd done. But yeah, it's been interesting having a nice day's fishing. It stayed nice and dry, so I'm gonna have to get packed away pretty sharpish because mine's the first van here, everyone else is that way, so I'm blocking everybody. But I'm gonna get my gear packed away, wait for the scales, and it's gonna be interesting because I think there's gonna be 1 or 2 surprises. I thought I'd around that £30 mark. Obviously with those bigger fish it's quite difficult to gauge the weight of them because it's very, very rare that we weigh them on their own. You know, they're normally in amongst a net of fish, but they've actually weighed, with the skimmers, the 3 carp and the 4 skimmers have weighed £35, which is definitely more than I expected, so that's good. I may be second in the match, I'm not sure, but I just had a quick word with Mark. Mark's won his section down there, he's done brilliant down there, he's had some little stocky carp and some skimmers. He's fished it completely different really, which is interesting. So I've really enjoyed this bit of an insight. As I've said earlier, there's 2 or 3 things I'd like to do differently. I'd definitely have a line where I'd feed somewhere with a catapult, either pellets or corn, but that's something for another day. So I'm just going to get my van loaded up. The light is going now. We're going to work our way back round there to where the draw was this morning, and I'll get the full results.